Hi, I'm Megan. Welcome to today's live reading of Chasing Love by Julie Navickas, presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Join me. Chapter 1, Rose, 82 Days Till I Do. The mermaid gown hugged her body in all the wrong places. Where the ruching gathered on the right, the silky fabric played tug of war with the stitching on the left. The result was purely horrifying. Rose scoffed and tugged the gown lower on her hips. Do you need any help? Rachel knocked on the flimsy dressing room door. Which one are you trying on now? With a frown, Rose stared at the off-white atrocity in the mirror. I think it's supposed to be a mermaid cut. Rachel barged into the small space with two more dresses draped over her right shoulder. Her gaze raked over Rose's reflection. You don't like it? It's hard to know. She tugged again on the tight fabric and sucked in a deep breath, but in return gained nothing more than a mild, dizzy spell. The dress is too tight to even tell. Rachel poked her cold fingers into the back of the dress. What size is it? A flurry of tingles ripped across her skin. Stop! Your hands are freezing, Rach. Rose sidestepped her sister and slid the dress to the floor with the angst of a toddler undressing for a bath. It doesn't matter. This isn't the one. Rachel sighed. Rose, you've tried on almost every dress in the store. I don't think you're giving any of these a fair shot. She shifted the two new dresses from her shoulder to the metal rack. Is there any style you're at least considering? Something to help us narrow it down? Her stomach sank as she scooped up the too-tight mermaid dress and replaced it on the satin hanger. No, there isn't. Rose, Rachel reached out and grabbed the dress from her sister before adding it to the growing pile of no. I just don't know. A sheen of sweat coated her skin. Rose dragged her hands over her cheeks and groaned. Through the mirror, she peered at her sister. Let's not get discouraged yet. Rachel stepped forward and wrapped her arms around Rose in a tight squeeze. We still have a few more to try, she added with an encouraging grin. Rose gulped and closed her eyes. The air hung heavy in the tiny dressing room. With scattered ball gowns and A-line options lining the walls, she threaded her fingers through her hair as reality set in. Picking a dress isn't really my problem. How about this one? Rachel pointed to a crystalline trumpet style. Put this on and I'll go see if Tess has any more options. Mom has probably found a few more by now, too. Tears welled in her eyes. Dropping her gaze to the floor, Rose nodded and hid behind her long sandy brown hair. I'll be right back, Rachel muttered and left the dressing room. Try the trumpet. Rose sniffled and dragged her fingers beneath her eyes. She shivered, standing half naked in the white lace shapewear Rachel had insisted she wear. With shaky fingers, she reached for the trumpet dress and stepped into it. The material tickled on the way up her legs, unlike the mermaid that attempted suffocation. She slipped her arms through the delicate straps and fumbled with the zipper, tugging it halfway up her back. Her eyes pulled again with tears clouding her vision as she stared at the dress in the mirror. It flattered her curves and rested comfortably against her skin. Each crystal glistened beneath the spotlight. But where a smile should have creased her lips, a sob escaped instead. The dress worked, both stunning and practical, but the moment held no joy in her heart as she stared at her reflection. Rose, Tess knocked on the door. I have a few more for you. Quickly swiping her palms over her damp face, Rose tucked her hair behind her ears. I can't keep doing this. Just pretend this is the one. She sucked in a deep breath before posturing on a wide smile. Her fingers quivered as she gripped the handle and tugged with mounting false strength. I think this is the one, she choked out and pulled the door open. Tess covered her mouth in awe. Her perfectly manicured Barbie pink nails rested against her cheeks as an elated giggle slid through the cracks in her fingers. Oh my God, Rose. She threw her arms around her in a tight squeeze. You look stunning. This dress is absolutely gorgeous on you. Tess circled her, pawing at the crystals and fluffing the train. She zipped up the rest of the dress and secured the top button with a grin. This is absolutely the one. I think so too. Swallowing the lie, sliding so easily through her teeth, Rose twirled and eyed the back of the gown in the mirror. 30 seconds times the charm, right? Tess giggled and gripped her hand. Come on, you have to show everyone. With a tug, Tess guided her from the safety of the dressing room, down the hallway, and out onto the main showroom. Up here, she directed and pointed to the carpeted pedestal. Rose stood in the spotlight. 3 panels of mirrors looked back, showing off every angle of the gown and the woman wearing it. Her gaze darted back and forth, avoiding her full reflection. Terrified by the truth she'd see, Rose focused on Tess as she adjusted the train again. Simply stunning, Tess said under her breath. She stood and selected a veil from the rack beside her and secured the comb onto Rose's head. Don't move. Let me grab the others. Her heels clicked away and Rose hung her head. Concentrating on the air leaving her lungs, she closed her eyes and blocked out the noise. The ringing front desk phone, the chatter of excited customers, and the constant, ever-present, voiceless fear in her ear. Just get through this next part. Let them ooh and ah over this ridiculous dress. Just get through this next part. Let them. The mantra repeated in her brain as the seconds ticked by. Rose scrunched her toes against the worn carpet on the pedestal and cleared her throat. Her heart banged beneath her chest, speeding the blood in her veins. She snuck a peek in the mirror, red and puffy. Her brown eyes' gaze looked back. Rose wiped beneath her eyes and sniffled, determined to avoid any further examination of the dress, but the crystal sparkled beneath the spotlight, sewn into every inch of the fabric. The beauty drew her gaze, and Rose peered at her reflection. An image flashed in her mind. 100 seated guests lined the aisle at Maravilla Gardens, all staring at her. Cameras snapped and video rolled, and all the while Cole stood at the altar, waiting. Rose, Rachel screamed and stumbled to her side, still laden with dresses on each shoulder. Oh my God, Tess was right. Look at you. Her fingers dragged over the crystals. Is this the trumpet? Rose nodded. Mm-hmm. Oh, my sweet baby girl. Rita appeared on Rachel's right with teary eyes. She shook her head and sniffled. This is the one, isn't it? Just pretend it is. Void of all emotion, Rose forced another smile on her lips. I think so, Mom, she whispered. Rita gripped her elbow and squeezed. Cole will love it, sweetheart. Just look at you. Accessories, Tess returned with heels, jewelry, and a plastic bouquet of flowers. Here, Rose, slip these on. She bent forward and rested the shoes on the pedestal. Rach, hold these, she murmured, and dropped the worn practice roses in her hands. Rachel sneezed. Bless you, said Tess before adorning Rose's neck with a string of simple pearls. There. She stepped back and eyed the full vision. What do you think? Rose accepted the plastic bouquet from her sister but avoided the mirror. It's perfect. It really is, Rita cooed and snapped a photo of all 3 girls. I wish your father were here to see this, she said and dragged a finger beneath her nose. Mom. Rachel wrapped her arms around her and squeezed as the saleswoman stomped in and interrupted. Oh, you're gorgeous, darling. Simply stunning, she said in an out-of-place East Coast accent. What do you think? Is this the one? She shimmied her shoulders with excitement. Yeah, if that's what this takes to get me the fuck out of here, then sure, it's the one. Rose nodded. I'll take it. And all the accessories too. Tess beamed and tucked her blonde curls behind her ears. You got it, sweetie. The saleswoman nodded and began tapping notes into her tablet. When's the wedding? December 21st, answered Rachel, offering Rose her hand as she stepped off the podium. I think we're a little late on the dress shopping. She turned to her sister and stuck out her tongue. Are we too late to order anything? The saleswoman gripped the tag on the back of the dress and tilted her head. You know, I could sell you this one. I don't even think you'd need alterations. It's like it was made for you. Rose shivered as her words opened a pit in her stomach. Made for me? Oh, that's perfect. Rachel clapped her hands together and cheered. The saleswoman nodded. Go ahead and slip the dress off. I'll have our seamstress look it over and make sure it's not missing a crystal or anything. With a gulp, Rose nodded. Amazing, she choked out. Come on, I'll help you get out of it. Rachel tugged her toward the hallway. Her fingers gripped her elbows, squeezing tighter with every step forward. Ouch, Rach. Rose stumbled into the dressing room with Tess's choice of heels still strapped to her feet. What is wrong with you? She interrupted. Shit. What do you mean? Stop it. Rachel tugged the veil out of Rose's hair with a grimace. It's me. Come on. Heat flushed her skin, warming once more beneath the dressing room lights. Rose averted her eyes. I don't know what you're talking about, she whispered. Do you not like the dress? Rachel unclasped the pearl necklace. Swallowing the truth on the tip of her tongue, Rose shook her head. No, I love it. Rachel rolled her eyes and lowered the zipper. Rose, stop lying. You can fool a saleswoman, you can fool Tess, and you can even fool Mom. But me? She helped lower the dress to the floor and eyed Rose as she stepped out of it. Not so much. Damn it. Come on, Rachel continued. What gives? What's the problem? Rose stuffed the trumpet dress on the hanger and hung it back on the rack. The pit in her stomach deepened, churning the meager salad from lunch. She swallowed and pointed to her pile of clothes in the corner. Rach, can... Stop it. Rachel swatted her fingers. I'm serious. You need to fucking talk to me. Rachel widened her eyes and stepped closer. Will you keep your voice down? I'll keep my voice down when you tell me what the hell is going on with you. The air in her lungs deflated. Defeat filtered through her veins, slipping and sliding through her bloodstream like a spring stream winding its way to the mouth of a river. Inevitable. She sighed and pressed her eyes closed, blocking out the accusing stare of her sister. Look, I need to ask you something. Rose nodded. Here it comes. Do you even want to get married? No, I don't. The question plagued her, stuck on repeat since the moment Cole sank to one knee and parted his beautiful lips in a twinkle-lit cavern. The memory replayed in her mind, the moment one she would remember until her dying day. But every day since his proposal, the future gnawed at her heart, ripping and shredding the tender muscle piece by piece. Rose, Rachel snapped her fingers 2 inches in front of her nose. Are you even listening to me? She shivered and wrapped her arms around her body in a self-hug. Stop it, Rach. Of course I do. Why the hell would you even ask me? Oh, I don't know. Rachel scrunched her nose and turned to pick up the pile of clothes in the corner. Maybe because you've got this ridiculously fake smile on your face every other second. You push off this dress appointment until it's almost too late. I flip and get a text from Cole every day asking about the centerpieces or chair covers, or... She tossed the pile of clothes at Rose's chest and huffed out a sigh. Am I marrying Cole, or are you? Rachel sniffled and swiped at the single tear escaping down her cheek. Why are you being so emotional? Rose sneered and ripped the lace shapewear off her body. Centerpieces don't warrant tears, she snapped. Then you need to show some goddamn interest in them, she scolded, her voice growing louder again. Come on, Rose. Don't you see it? You've left Cole on his own planning this grand wedding. Why? Rose cupped her palm over her sister's lips. Please, keep your voice down. Rachel pushed her away, but swayed on the spot. She caught herself on the doorframe and closed her eyes. Are you okay? Rose gripped her arm. Rach? She nodded, but sank onto the chair in the tiny dressing room, smashing a castaway tea-length gown with tulle beneath her butt. Sorry, she muttered. Rachel kneaded the muscles in her neck and shivered. Dizzy spell. Do you feel sick? Rose pressed a hand to her forehead. No. Pushing her away, Rachel scowled. Stop changing the subject. You're the one ready to pass out. A door creaked open at the end of the hallway, each hinge announcing the end to their private conversation. Oh, ladies, the saleswoman's sing-song voice echoed in the dressing room. I've come for the gown. She tapped on the door. Do you still need a moment? Rose grabbed the dress and tripped over Rachel's feet. Ouch! Rachel gripped the handle and cracked open the door, stuffing the dress through the gap. She grinned. Here's the dress. Sorry my sister is moving super slow. Ugh, seriously, Rach? No rush. You girls take your time. Her footsteps echoed down the hallway and disappeared. Rose forced her shirt over her head and quickly stuffed her legs into a pair of jeans. With a scowl at the shapewear, she kicked it toward her purse. You know we need to talk about this, right? There's nothing to talk about. Rose slipped into her tennis shoes and bent down to tie the laces. Damage control. Rach, I know you think you're onto something here, but the truth is, I'm just fine. I love Cole. I've always loved Cole. She shrugged. He's got a lot of grand plans, and I'm having a hard time keeping up. My job is still new, and I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. Totally plausible excuse. Rachel squinted. Her stare was a penetrating X-ray searching for the truth. You're overwhelmed. Rose nodded and bent to pick up her purse and shapewear. Draping the bag over her shoulder, she swallowed the lie. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry you're picking up my slack. I promise. I'll try harder moving forward. With a sweaty palm on the handle, Rose twisted the knob and held the door open. Come on, let's go. We've kept Mom and Tess waiting long enough. Rachel released a heavy sigh and frowned. She stood and reached for her own canvas bag in the corner. I don't buy it, she mumbled, but still exited the dressing room. There's something you're not telling me. Rachel rolled her eyes. Rose rolled her eyes and followed Rachel down the hallway. Drop it, Rach, please, she muttered. I promise you, I'm fine. I'll figure it out. Somehow, someway, I'll figure it out. Rose tailed Rachel to the checkout counter where Tess and Rita fawned over the crystal-lined trumpet gown. The saleswoman covered it with a cotton bag elegantly marked in a swirl of gold letters reading, I said yes. Her stomach churned at the sight. I should have said no from the very start.